For 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going.
There are more accusations connected to the case against Sean Diddy Combs. The latest involves hip-hop mogul Jay-Z, who issued a vehement denial.
I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim
Keeping
Paul?
people against their will. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on. From the second that I did Piers Morgan, they've been trying to convince people that I had something to do with these girls. Because when I was on Piers Morgan, I said I had 3 victims that were ready to come forward. The problem is I didn't say I had Diddy victims. I said I have 3 victims against the Carters. That's not Diddy.
Jay-Z, once Diddy's loudest ally, is now facing intense scrutiny. This time, silence won't protect him. Since Diddy's arrest, Jay has stayed uncharacteristically quiet. But that quiet shattered when a new lawsuit surfaced, linking him to disturbing claims from the early 2000s. The internet erupted, Katt Williams is fanning the flames, and whispers of Beyoncé's name have only fueled speculation. With the Carter brand under pressure, fans are asking the hard question: is this the unraveling of one of music's most powerful empires?
Jay-Z just got named in the Diddy lawsuits. We've been saying it for a long time. And this is just the start. There's a lot more coming. Jay-Z has been accused in a civil case, and just accused, not convicted, in a civil case, a 13-year-old girl in the year 2000 with Diddy. This is a suit filed by Tony Busby, this dude out of Texas. And I just want to clarify what's happening in the music industry here is that this allegedly happened after she was driven to a party after the MTV Video Music Awards. Because what is coming out is that this is mainstream culture being done by most of the biggest names at the after parties of the award shows. This is like, the reason why this is crazy is because everyone knew, because it was an open secret, because it was happening in the middle of the mainstream culture. This lawsuit is from victims that are being represented by Tony Busby. He's the one that came out saying that he's representing 120 clients. He's the one that had the whole press conference that said many powerful people will be exposed. And I just want to clarify that this is boys and girls. In the first 6 complaints, it was on behalf of 2 Jane Does and 4 John Does. We've got complaints from people that were as young as 10 years old at the time, drugged and Tony Busby is not just some random lawyer. This dude has a long, powerful career. He was on the cover of the New York Magazine in 2010 for his litigation against BP following the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. He's represented celebrity cases, rapper, all kinds of stuff. He's also got a whole bunch of other stuff going on in his life. He's got a big reputation, and he's not trying to ruin that reputation. But these are just allegations, obviously, and we don't know yet. Jay-Z put out a letter basically being like, shit. And he actually said, I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Okay, Jay-Z, let's go for a criminal complaint. Let's send this mother jail. My guess is that just like with Diddy, what starts as a civil case will probably also become a criminal case. But I just want to read the last paragraph out of Jay-Z's letter here. Quote, you have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes of honors. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. Okay, Sean, let's see just how different you are. In most cases, I would be, waiting for judgment and trying to see what comes out in court. And like, we will see what comes out in court. But the whole industry has been talking about Jay-Z for a long time. The whole industry was talking about Diddy for a long time. This is not a secret, and we all know what's coming. And Diddy's protection obviously ran out, and maybe Jay-Z thinks that his protection is still good, but I got news for you, Jay. It's a whole new world, and the people are ready for change. And we are done with this corrupt, disgusting, blackmail culture. So it looks like Jay-Z's got 99 problems, and little boys and little girls are about to be all 99 of them. So peace.
There's only one person. Go on. Then I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean. Okay. Yeah. Nobody else can call me Sean. He's the only person who's Sean approved. There's not a single person that outside of family. That should be outside of.
Jay-Z suffers legal blow as judge rules in favor of Jane Doe. Things have taken a serious turn for Sean Carter. In a major update, a federal judge has officially denied Jay-Z's motion to dismiss the case. Judge Annalisa Torres ruled in favor of the accuser known only as Jane Doe, granting her anonymity due to potential risks of retaliation. Her legal team argued that going public could expose her to harassment, especially from those connected to Jay-Z's powerful network. The ruling is a significant legal and public setback, shaking his polished billionaire image and leaving the public to wonder what's been hidden all these years.
This morning, a legal victory for the woman who is suing Jay-Z for allegedly her when she was 13. A federal judge ruling the woman can proceed with the case while remaining anonymous, at least for now. But the judge also chastising the lawyers representing Jay-Z, accusing them of trying to fast-track the judicial process by repeatedly filing motions to reveal the identity of the Jane Doe to have the case dismissed. The judge writing in a 5-page brief that the Carter's lawyers' relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client. The court will not fast-track the judicial process merely because the counsel demands it. This latest legal twist coming after the recently filed civil lawsuit by Jane Doe, claiming that Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, and P. Diddy drugged a 13-year-old girl at an after-party after the MTV Music Awards in 2000 while an unnamed celebrity watched. Jay-Z has vehemently denied all the allegations, putting out this statement 2 weeks ago, writing in part, "This is a blackmail attempt." The multi-platinum artist, who was 30 at the time, now a business mogul with decades of hits to his name, with songs like Run This Town.
We are, yeah, I said it, we are. This is Rock Nation, pledge your allegiance.
His attorneys have denied everything about Jane Doe's account and pointed to some alleged inconsistencies in her story.
It's not just that this story is a lie and that it's not true. It's provably, demonstrably false. This never happened.
The judge writing that while Jane Doe can remain anonymous for now, she may be required to reveal her identity at a later date to allow Jay-Z's lawyers to collect facts necessary to prepare for trial.
Oftentimes, when someone is accused of a crime like this, the accuser doesn't want to be named, and if they are forced to be named, we have seen certain people decide to drop the lawsuit altogether.
And just the day before this ruling, Jay-Z's wife Beyonce and his daughter Blue Ivy making a heralded appearance during a halftime of the Ravens-Texans game on Christmas Day on Netflix, performing a live show to an audience of more than 27 million viewers. And just this morning, Tony Busby, the lawyer representing Jay-Z and Diddy's accuser, releasing a statement to ABC News, writing, "I will say that the coordinated and desperate efforts to attack me as counsel for alleged victims are falling flat. We won't be bullied or intimidated." We also reached out to Jay-Z and his team, but did not.
Jay-Z did respond, kind of. A carefully worded statement appeared on his Instagram, aimed at attorney Tony Busby, the outspoken lawyer representing Jane Doe. But fans weren't convinced. The post felt too polished, too calculated, like a PR team's attempt to patch the damage. Most believe Jay-Z didn't pen it himself, instead leaning on his legal publicist to control the narrative. Enter Katt Williams, never one to hold back. He publicly slammed Jay-Z, claiming the billionaire image can't cover up the truth forever. He accused the industry of protecting power with silence and warned that this case is just the beginning. More names, he says, are on the way.
I see this. So this is a standard response from a legal publicist, and that can be the words and tone and opinion of Jay-Z, but I think it was written by a legal publicist into the form that they use, ambulance chaser, cheap suit, all of those are kind of stock words they use. My question is, has the statute of limitations moved on this? Question one. And question two, with all due respect to Jay-Z, there's an awful lot of pictures of you running around in your undies at parties with Diddy. And so you were at some of these parties. It's not like there's no photographs that America's going in hey, is that a young Jay-Z running around in his underwear with Diddy at a party? Huh. You know, when you see that, it's hard to walk away from that visual.
And so, and by the way, I don't know if you guys know this or not. Tony Busby isn't an ambulance chasing. He is probably one of the most successful lawyers in the United States. So I don't believe none of that BS. So I did some digging. So apparently he got sued by an unnamed person. He won't name the person. And this person had hired private investigators to go through Busby's life, talks to ex-employees, ex-clients, because they wanted to get as much dirt on him as possible. And they basically approached him and said, hey, if you don't back down with suing this random person, I mean, I think we all know who it is, we're going to expose everything. So you know what he does? He comes out with the Jay-Z alleging 13-year-old girl. And now, again, all allegations, but from what the questioning is with this girl, this 13-year-old girl knows everything about this house, from the driveway to the paint inside the building. She knows everything. And it's like, she did. She's saying this in the lawsuit. That's what they're saying, allegedly. But at what point, guys, and I get it, all we always hear is rumors. We never have proof. Every time it comes to these children who are the most neglected people in this freaking country, we know it because of the border and and all that. When are we going to start listening to some of these people that the media and the left consider crazy? Kanye West tried to warn us about Jay-Z. Katt Williams warned us about Jay-Z and Beyonce. MIA told us about satanic rituals. And I'm telling you from experience, and Adam knows this guy too, they do that type of stuff in Hollywood. I know people that have said firsthand, Vinny, it's disgusting. I left, I turned to Christianity, and these people they were never Christians, okay? They turned to it, and like MIA, all these people, Jaguar Wright, are any of these people, are we ever gonna go, okay, yeah, they're not crazy? Maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. And Diddy, at least he got arrested, but all these people, depending on the lawyer that you have and the money that you have, the wealth that you have, it depends if you're going to get in trouble and not. And then what if this girl, they're probably going to settle out of court anyway. She'll probably get $10 million and he'll never see jail ever. And that's the sad.
Really turning heads is how quickly the heat turned up after the judge denied Jay-Z's request to dismiss the case. Reports say attorney Tony Busby and the alleged victim, Jane Doe, began receiving anonymous threats alongside suspiciously large cash offers, seemingly meant to make the case disappear. As the lawsuit gained momentum, the pressure tactics began, and just like Katt Williams warned, it's starting to look like a playbook straight from the top. The public's watching closely now because what was once speculation is unfolding in real time.
Dropping the lawsuit against Jay-Z and Diddy, and there was an agreement behind the scenes to actually drop this lawsuit. And this Jane Doe dropped another affidavit in Jay-Z's extortion case that he filed against Tony Busby and said that the recordings from the private investigators aren't true. And these bombshell court documents might start answering some of the questions, like why would these private investigators go after this Jane Doe after she dropped this lawsuit against Jay-Z and Diddy and ask her questions about Jay-Z, but say that they're not being hired by Jay-Z or his counsel. So this court document was filed by Tony Busby today in Jay-Z's extortion case that he filed against Tony Busby before Jay-Z was even named in this lawsuit with this Jane Doe for the demand letter that he got. Tony Busby said that Jane Doe was ultimately frightened by Jay-Z into abandoning her claim. Carter's counsel at Quinn Emanuel, John Quinn, and Alex Spiro on the one hand, and the Busby parties and Jane Doe's New York counsel, Mark Kowalski, on the other hand, reached an agreement for a global walkaway, which included Jay-Z and his attorney's agreement to not harass or interact with this Jane Doe. Jane Doe then dismissed her claims in the New York action on February 14th of 2025 in reliance on that agreement. And a lot of us felt like there was some type of agreement behind the scenes that happened for her to dismiss this lawsuit with prejudice, which means that it could have never been brought up again. Tony Busby then said that it turns out within a week of that dismissal, investigators ambushed Jane Doe at her home on February 21st of 2025. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's attorneys in California cited the dismissal as evidence in this lawsuit without disclosing that it was negotiated and agreed upon. And it gets worse because in these court documents, they allege that this was all done in an email. This is the other lawyer that worked with Tony Busby that also put in the affidavit, which is the one that got the email from Alex Spiro on this agreement to drop the lawsuit with the Jane Doe. In his affidavit, he included the email that he sent present Alex Spiro with all the negotiations for them to dismiss this lawsuit with this Jane Doe against Jay-Z and Diddy. And it says, Spiro, here is our proposal. You and your clients Jay-Z and Roc Nation will withdraw the Rule 11 motion, which was the sanctions. 10 days after, the plaintiff will withdraw the complaint with prejudice. Then you and your clients will not authorize to employ or otherwise engage in investigation or anyone else to harass or otherwise interact with my client, law firm, or former client's employees or family. Tony Busby then gets into these private investigators saying that they had evidence against Tony Busby that he pushed this Jane Doe into naming Jay-Z in this lawsuit. Tony Busby is saying that these two private investigators are trying to say that Tony Busby pushed Jane Doe into naming Jay-Z on December 11th of 2024, but he's saying that the facts are not there to prove their allegations. And he's saying it's really weird that these two private investigators who mysteriously claim not to have been retained by either Jay-Z or his attorneys without identifying their employer came to question this.
What's even more unsettling, this isn't the first time Jay-Z's camp has been accused of shutting someone down. Remember when Jaguar Wright sat down with Piers Morgan and dropped bombshell claims about Jay-Z and Beyoncé's alleged influence and control in the music industry? That interview vanished. Scrubbed from platforms. Erased like it never existed. Jaguar didn't speak in riddles. She named names, laid out specifics, and exposed what she described as the industry's darkest corners. But instead of debate or denial, the response was silence and digital erasure. For a moment, it looked like yet another truth-teller had been pushed into the shadows. But why do outspoken voices like hers vanish so quickly? And who decides what gets erased? Let's rewind and unpack exactly what she said before it was buried.
There's no vindication for me because for 4 years I've been screaming not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond. You have no choice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately. Sean Carter. This has been a fist of tyranny that has been punching through our culture and our society for decades. It must stop.
Jay-Z's high-profile attorney, Alex Spiro, spoke to TMZ in an attempt to set the record straight. He insisted there was no legal threat involved. In removing Jaguar Wright's interview, it wasn't a cease and desist, he clarified. It was an ultimatum. But let's be honest, what's the difference? No court order, no lawsuit, just pressure. And when a powerful legal team strongly suggests content come down, most platforms don't argue. To critics, this wasn't clarification. It was a classic case of media intimidation dressed up in polite language. The message was clear: take it down, or deal with what comes next.
It must have been shocking to you that somebody comes on a show and then kind of levels these vague-ish allegations. Were you kind of ready for something like this to eventually happen?
Listen, there's rumors and then there's nonsense, and this is one step further, right? This is a pointed and formal accusation of something, and I felt it needed to be responded to. So I think somebody reported it was a cease and desist. It wasn't that. It was quite bluntly an ultimatum, which is remove that false accusation that's demonstrably false, or a court's going to order you to. And so I think he made the wise choice and acted accordingly.
He meaning Piers Morgan.
Removing it and apologizing for it, yes. What changed here in my mind is that somebody on a so-called journalistic platform exploited that kind of random rumor mill, whether it's disconnected from reality or what have you, and lifted it up. And by doing that, they not only caused harm here, but they are also droning out the voices of real victims. And by doing that to get clicks, it didn't just harm the Carters. What he did effectively was to drone out the voices of actual victims in an ongoing case, in an ongoing investigation. And that was too much for me.
Are you in the process of making sure that it is taken down everywhere?
What I am here to say is that in a situation as serious as this, somebody who puts themselves out as a journalist should not effectively take advantage of the situation and exploit somebody in this way. And so that's the real reason for action.
Does it strike you a little bit that there's been a lot of silence in Hollywood in the wake of all of this?
Well, as to the Carters, I can tell you that when they put their foot down on something as they did here, they are sending a message. And if they can't stand up and make sure right from wrong, then who can? I've always believed.
Here's what people always forget. Jaguar right doesn't fold. Even after the Piers Morgan interview was wiped, and Jay-Z's legal team flexed their muscle, she didn't disappear. She fired back, taking to social media with even more determination. Jaguar kept naming names and dropping hints, refusing to let the industry erase her like they've done to so many others. She claimed to have receipts, evidence to back up everything, she said. And just when people thought maybe she was backing off, boom, the lawsuit dropped. The very thing she'd been warning about all along, now playing out in real time.
It's wild. I asked you this earlier. You're not enjoying this because this is a tough day because look, and I have to say I don't know the truth. But Jaguar has been warning us about Jay-Z. Jay-Z has now had an official lawsuit. It's everywhere. It's now being talked about louder than ever. I guess, does that give you some peace to know that people are finally really questioning this man?
It's emboldening me. I spoke on Piers Morgan. I said that I had 3 victims that I've been working with, victims of the Carters, that were ready to come forward. This might help them feel a little more confident now. So this is great because he's been evading. But the thing is, everyone in the backdrop knew that he was the celebrity John Doe. Everybody knew that. They knew it when I did Piers Morgan.
Is Beyonce celebrity B?
I hope to God not. But she was around. And she's very... she's got enough on her plate. After everything that happened with the election and everything that's happening right now, I'm not going to dump on that woman. She got better fish to fry.
Well,
what I will say is that her husband, she knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
She knows.